All right, what's up, Teen Talk fam? It's your host, Miss KK, here with
Your
Your
boy
boy,
Bisha.
your boy DJ in the
Serenity.
building.
Serenity, and we have
Your boy DJ in the building.
we also have on live Bisha, Serenity, and Deshaun B. Thank you all for tuning into our show. Because of Black History Month, I thought it would be fun to reminisce on how far Black culture and Black people have progressed in our own lifetime. So let's start off with athletics. Athletics was one of the first mediums where African Americans were able to break through the severe racial and socioeconomic barriers. One of the most notable contributions to athletics for African Americans was Jackie Robinson, the first African American to break the color barrier, in baseball. Serenity, when you think of athletics and Black culture, who do you think of and why?
Honestly, like you said, like Jackie Robinson, like to me, I think about him, even though I wouldn't say like I'm a huge fan of baseball, but he
Right.
definitely is like one of the ones who put like, his foot in the door for the rest of us because, you know, he he played on an all Negro team, and then he played for the Yankees. And at first they didn't want him on the team,
Yeah.
and it took for the players to stand up for him to stay on the team to win.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like the only reason why they didn't want him on the team is because he's a threat. He was good. He was super good. And not
They
only
felt
was
a
he
little
super good,
challenged.
he was Black. Exactly, because if he was white, they would be like, oh, he's really good. No, it's because he's Black too.
Yeah, I
But he
feel it.
definitely opened doors for I feel like the rest of Black athletes all around.
Right. Well, now that those doors are open, Deshaun B, is there any current players in athletics right now that you can think of in your lifetime that has really progressed Black culture and African American culture?
You know what? Yes, Venus and Serena Williams. I recently just read
Ooh.
an article about how every time they used to go to these tennis matches, the audience would boo every time they made a mistake. And anytime that they did something right, the audience would be quiet. And they had to learn to play like that. Just imagine you happen to play a sport and every time you messed up, people is really cheering. But when you do something right, they want to be quiet. And she said
Right.
that is what allowed them to be able to be the very best and allowed them to know that it's okay to be the best and people are not going to like you because of the color of your skin. But they prevailed. And as years went on, it's like now you see more of Serena Williams on covers and stuff. But back then, they never wanted to give her flowers, even though she was one of the best people in tennis.
Okay. What about you, Bisha?
Yeah, I want to touch on what Deshaun said really fast about the Williams sisters and like how he said they really progressed through the negativity, and they're not getting their flowers or now they are. But I remember before, it was a while ago, Serena actually played her sister for a major tournament, and she won it. I think Serena beat Venus. Anyways, they were sisters and they won. One of them won, and the
Mm-hmm.
crowd thought that they were cheating because they were siblings. So they actually started screaming terrible things, and they're actually throwing some racial slurs in there. It was long. It was
Wow.
pretty long ago, and they still powered through it. And they still next year they still walked on the court and they dominated still, and they just put up. And I just respect that they didn't get influenced by the negativity, or they didn't say, you know what, this sport's not for me. But they still powered on there and they won and they beat everybody. So I love that. Mm-hmm.
I love
And
that too. See, go ahead.
the fact that they overcame where they come from, because they come from Compton,
Mm-hmm.
and for them, like their parents obviously put them in something to stay out of trouble, but how they just overcome, like people think that when you come from a place like that you can't be where they are, and you can, obviously, and they're inspiring little Black girls all over the world.
Yeah. And sticking to that movement of inspiring, African American girls is Sierra Bonally. So I ended up was watching YouTube yesterday and her name was brought up, and Sierra Bonally, spelled SURUA, got it right. She is an African American ice skater. And again, one of those things I just never really looked at. And she was one of the people who ended up getting her move outlawed because no one could touch her. She was able to ice skate and do backflips, front flips, back flips, and seamlessly. And the judges would never acknowledge her talent, her skills, and give her the points for that. And because no other ice skaters who were women could touch that, they outlawed the move. So Day Day, how do you feel about that? That this amazing African American woman was able to break down this barrier, and instead of having other people rise to her occasion, they just completely disqualified the move altogether.
Well, I just feel like that just shows how America or how they're stuck in their ways. You know, I feel like it's always going to be that way. I feel like Black women definitely have it harder than Black males. You know, in this society for some reason. Not for some reason. There's reasons why behind it, but yeah, it's pretty deep. I just feel like I don't know how we could change or break that cycle, but I feel like that's definitely something that we should be trying to work on as, the Black culture,
Philip, what about you,
Right.
Deshaun B? I see you have something to comment.
Yes, I definitely feel like what we need to do in order to break this cycle is start standing behind our Black women like they stand behind the Black kings out there. I feel like if we really stuck together and spoke up for them like they speak up for us, they would be more respected. But when we don't speak up like they speaking up for us, it's like, okay, the cycle continues because nobody is fighting for them like they fight for us. So just even knowing that whole situation happened because nobody fought for her. And even though she spoke up for herself, sometimes that's really not enough. Sometimes you really do need an army to really
Yeah.
get your voice heard.
Yes, we do. And I know there's a lot of things that African Americans have not touched in this world, like we covered about the inventors, but African American traditions were well established in the music industry by 1890, leading to show stopping artists and genres made from a rich history of Negro spirituals. Bisha, can you describe a moment in the music industry that felt like a major move for the Black community?
Ooh, this is a tough one because there's a lot. But
Yeah.
yeah, a major moment. Definitely when one of my favorite artists, or he's still selling it. I mean, it's still going through it, but I don't know if you guys know Lil Wayne. He ended up,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if I agree with it, but he sold his masters and it was for like hundreds of millions. And I know that he could have gotten progressively paid in the future and his kids could have been paid, but still the fact that his music was worth that much and he's now one of the richest Black artists in the game. I mean, he just really, that shows the value of his music and the hard work that he put in did end up worth it because companies did want to buy his music. So I felt like that was progressive because it really showed the value. It's not just, it showed how much his music is worth. But I felt like he could have got more.
All right. And what about you, Deshaun B?
I just had to speak on Lil Wayne since B. Shaw brought him up. I feel like his music could have definitely progressed, but when you stand behind certain causes and you don't stand behind the people that really support you, you would start to lose a lot of fans. And I feel like
That
although
is
his
true.
music is great, he's not standing up for us like he can be. And us seeing the stories that we do be seeing in the media about certain artists, I feel like they actually devalue their own career by only thinking about self. If a lot of celebrities really just thought about everybody else and utilized their platform how it should be ran, I feel like we would have more influencers. But because
Okay.
people really don't like to do that, people like to talk about stuff in the dark, but don't like to bring light to it. That's the real reason why we don't get to share these positive moments. And the people that do speak up, they're always recommended or something is taken from them.
All right. I feel you. I understand you and I feel that 100%. For me, I would say a big that I seen like growing up as a child that to me was a really big moment was Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. And the reason I say that is because they weren't only being played in, African American households, but actually like all of their entire world. I believe Michael Jackson actually became an international star. And to me, for a Black man, although, he did have issues along the way, he is a Black man and he has Black siblings and all of that stuff. And to see his music and his talent be revered across the world, to me was just like amazing. And it was like a show of like how far our culture can impact the entire world and actually make a difference and actually have people, you know, enjoy it. So that was a very big moment for myself. But I want to move on to another industry that not a lot of people talk about, which is everyday items such as healthcare, makeup, and even undergarments. Now, DJ Day Day, how did it feel knowing that Band-Aids were supposed to be the color of skin, that they finally came, and then that they finally came out with shades for African Americans?
Well, that's just funny to me because I just, I guess it just wasn't for Black people, right? Who was it? A Black person that created the Band-Aid, or was
No, it was just Band-Aids, and of course, nude is the color of like darker skinned or lighter skinned Caucasian people. And so Band-Aid, I believe it was like in like the 2000s, they finally were like, oh, we should probably make this for other skin colors besides Caucasian people. So they started to come out with darker shades of Band-Aids to match other people's skin.
Yeah, I feel like nothing is originally set out for Black people. Like we have to work, to get what we get. Everything we get, we have to work for. Basically, nothing's handed to us. As Black people, so we have to earn that right for anything. So
that's a powerful statement. What about you, Serenity? Seeing as Day said that nothing really was started out made for African Americans. How do you feel about that statement?
I kind of agree with it because like they, anytime when they came out with something, they didn't come out with like Black people in mind. Mm-hmm. They definitely, like, that's why I feel like about Band-Aids when they first came out with nude, they didn't come out thinking, this could be used for any and everybody. Like, this was specifically like for them. And also because they used to think that, us Black folks was kind of like indestructible.
I feel
they
used
to think that
they still do.
Used to think like exactly like they think that like, don't get me wrong, like our cells and stuff like that, they think that we're kind of superhuman or something like that, because they never think that we get hurt or that we're injured. We have a high pain tolerance. Yes. And I feel like that's the reason why they probably didn't make Band-Aids for us in the beginning, because they're like, oh, they don't get hurt.
Yeah, I feel it. And just to round off this discussion, Deshaun, I want to ask you, in your opinion, how important is it for the African American culture to continue to progress and evolve for the following generations?
I feel like it's more important than ever because just like Brandon said earlier in the show, our ancestors definitely fought for that. And Serenity was also speaking on this as well. And that's like, once you know what you're fighting for, you can't give up. Because it's almost like now you have that what could have happened. And I realized when God gives you a gift or a talent and you don't execute, he gives it to somebody else. And that is how we see other people coming out with ideas that were similar to ours because we didn't act on it when it was given to us. So really just knowing when something is given to you and keep progressing. Because every time you speak out, you make a change for somebody else. Even though it might be a hard conversation for you to have, just by you having that conversation unlocks doors for other people who don't even know that they have to have this conversation in the future or years to come. So just even knowing that everything you do in your life matters and every step you make will be something that will be memorable.
Agreed. I love this and I have loved this conversation. African Americans and for Black History Month, let's continue to do what we're supposed to do and take the gifts that God has given us and continue to progress this world in a positive way. Thank you all for tuning into this Teen Talk discussion. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Teen Talk Vegas 881 and also check us out at teentalkvegas.com. Keep it